Recording in progress.
Yo, what's good, fam? I'm your boy Trey Frazier. I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me today.
Yo, what's good?
What up? It's another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Shout out to everybody watching us now live on our YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2 and also on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. What up? What up, fam? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. How you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. Another week. Getting ready to get into this talk, man. How's the week go?
It's early, man. Just started, so
yeah.
Man, I'm good though. I'm sure you. We ain't gonna waste no time, man. I'm sure you wanna go ahead and eat up Carmelo real quick, man.
Absolutely.
Yo, Paul, you ain't just hear what I said, sir?
Great. yo.
I was like, he must ain't hearing me.
Hey, that's wild. That's wild. I got pause right there.
Nah, for sure. Congratulations to Carmelo Anthony. I don't care clearly as much as you do. So, but yeah.
For Carmelo? Carmelo? Really?
Like Baltimore. I'm from DC, bro. Like that's that, and obviously I'm grown. We ain't tripping up. I ain't beefing with niggas from Baltimore. I'm just saying.
Right.
I grew up with that Baltimore stigma, so he's from there. I really don't care about the Knicks. Yeah, like he's more tied to you than he is to me.
Okay. All right. I just thought maybe from a fan perspective that was,
one of the greatest scorers ever, no doubt about it. But if I was to sit here and sit here and be like, I'm not saying he wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not tied to his.
He wasn't, because like I hear you say all the time, Steph Curry's one of your favorite players, KD's one of your favorite players. Carmelo wasn't that for you, nor was he ever, I don't know, maybe top 5 on your list. I don't know.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not even. I'm just saying I'm not emotionally attached to Carmelo Anthony.
Okay. All right. I got you. I got you.
No shade to his
just
skills.
The way. It's just. I guess it's just the way you kind of came out and was like, I don't, really, care much for him. That's what kind of.
It's not like he
threw me off.
Hall of Famer. I know, but it would throw you off because you're a New York Knicks fan. It would throw you off.
Yeah. Well.
He's nice. Ain't no doubt about him. He nice.
Yeah.
He was, you know what I'm saying? But I don't have that attachment to Carmelo Anthony. So then nothing about his game, I'm not attached to it emotionally.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you on that. But
shout out to him. I hope that don't come off as shade because Carmelo, like I said, Carmelo's a legend.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping it didn't come off like that. But
yeah.
Congrats to the homie Carmelo.
I just know you got more to say about it than I do. That's what I was.
Yeah. I definitely got something to say, and while we wait for our guest, to come on to talk some Celtics, and we'll see how interesting that conversation gets. Carmelo Anthony. Oh, and here she is right now, actually. So let's kind of put the Carmelo homage on pause for a second here. And let's get to our guest here, and let's welcome Gabby Hurlbut from the Boston Ballin' podcast, based out of Boston, obviously. Celtics fan, Red Sox, Patriots, you name it. Y'all go follow her on her social media. You can follow her on Twitter, Instagram, and the whole 9 yards. So, Gabby, if you can hear me, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on under such excruciating circumstances with your team and all that. How you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on. It's definitely always fun to interact with other sports fans and just do stuff like this. So I'm definitely appreciative of the invite.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, the Boston Ballin' Podcast. Tell us about it. How'd you get started?
Yeah, so I started Boston Balling in December of 2020. So it actually started because I at the time was working at ESPN, and there were a couple people who had asked me to be guests on their podcasts to just kind of talk about my experience, what got me started in the sports industry, and basically offering advice to people who want to break into that. And when I was a guest on other podcasts, I was like, this actually sounds, really fun. Like, this seems like something that I would enjoy doing, because I literally would be able to just sit and talk about something that I'm super passionate about all the time, which I do anyway as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I think it'd be cool to start my own show and kind of be able to build my own brand. Because, working in the industry, in certain aspects of it, you don't always get the opportunity to really build your own brand. So then I kind of started to brainstorm, like, what's something that I could talk about like all day, every day, and not shut up about it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I came to the conclusion, like, I mean, Boston sports, obviously, because that's what I love. So then I started Boston Mauling in December of 2020, and it's been a lot of fun. I usually drop an episode once a week. I bring a variety of different guests on the show that are in the Boston sports community, whether that be like reporters, former athletes, other podcast hosts, or just anybody who is really affiliated with and passionate about Boston sports, like myself. So I've gotten to talk to a lot of different people, get different perspectives on different things, and I've just really been surprised in a good way how much the audience has really grown in the time that I've had the show. And I'm just really grateful for that, and just grateful to be able to, you know, constantly continue to grow my brand and my show and still talk Boston sports all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, as you can see by my background here, I don't got a lot of love for the Boston teams. I mean, you could pick a team on this wall, and I could already tell that you kind of, growl at the teams that's behind me right
Yeah,
here. But
correct.
tell me this. So when did you personally first fall in love with sports? Like, what was the moment for you that said, I'm a sports fan"?
Yeah, so it actually, I grew up about 10 minutes from the Yukon campus. And so my grandfather growing up always had season tickets to Yukon basketball and football games. So when I was really, really little, I would be sitting in the living room on my dad's lap watching Yukon basketball games. And then I watched both Yukon men and women win national championships when I was younger, during the good old days of Yukon basketball and the Oriema and Calhoun days. And so many really fun players were going through Yukon. And I remember, as a little kid watching games, sometimes like my parents would make me go to bed at halftime of a game when it was late and I had school the next day or something. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
I would like hide at the top of the stairs, like sneak to the top of the stairs and try to listen to the TV while my parents were watching the second half of the game, so that I could still like hear what was going on in the game, because I
Mm.
didn't want to go to sleep without knowing. And then the next day when my parents would tell me whether they won or not, like I had to pretend like I didn't know.
Oh
And I had to
snap!
make sure they didn't hear me. But so that was really what drew me to sports originally. And I think the success that UConn had when I was younger made me realize just how fun being a sports fan can be. And then it kind of expanded from that. And my cousins are big Boston fans. And I was at their house when I was about 4 years old one time, and they had a Red Sox game on. And I was staring at it and I was super intrigued by it. And my cousins told me to be a Red Sox fan, and that stuck with me ever since then. My parents got me a Nomar Garcia Parra jersey, and then I kind of just became super attached to the Red Sox, and then it grew into the other Boston teams from there. So it's really just been since I was little, and just I remember watching games on my dad's lap for UConn basketball, and it just has grown tremendously since then.
How arrogant are is the city with the championships in the last 20 years? Because it seemed like every year or two, y'all always winning something. Like
Right.
how arrogant is it to just be a Boston fan knowing that, you know, Tom Brady gave y'all 6, the Red Sox gave y'all 4, and then you had the big 3 in Boston, and then the Bruins got you 1. Like, how does that feel? Like, in 20 years, y'all got 12 chips. That's crazy.
It's really nice. And I think somebody from my generation, it's a little bit different because we've experienced so much success from Boston sports, whereas like my parents' generation that grew up Boston fans saw a lot of failure within Boston sports at that time. So what they saw really wasn't the winning. I mean, the Red Sox were freaking cursed for 86 years, so that they
Yeah,
didn't get to see
facts.
a World Series championship from them. And then the Patriots, until the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era, really weren't that good either.
Yeah.
So then they weren't used to really seeing the Patriots winning on a consistent basis either. And then obviously, it's been a good amount of time since the Bruins and Celtics have won, but like they're still competitive every year. And you kind of know when you're watching one of those teams that they're most likely still going to be a playoff team. So I think it's a lot different of an experience from my perspective because it was more we grew up with more success than the generation above us. I do think, it's a really, really passionate fan base to be a part of, and it's super fun, and everybody loves the teams. And like, there's nothing like going to a game in Boston to watch a team. I mean, I went to like a Celtics playoff game this year when they played the Hawks,
Mm.
and there was just nothing like the environment at the TD Garden. And like, there's just really nothing like it, like how the city of Boston will come together when there's a team that, is close to winning a championship or you really, really think could win a championship that year. And it is the type of fan base where they'll say, like, I'm not going to watch this team anymore if they're not
Mm-hmm.
good, but then they still end up watching anyway because
Yeah.
we can't keep ourselves away from it.
I get you. I get you. So you're having a fun time, I would imagine, right now, as the Boston Celtics are currently down 3-0 to the Miami Heat. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw my little prediction out here. Y'all probably getting swept. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me personally and what I've noticed in the series is just a blatant lack of effort from the team. I think in game 3, what we saw that they put out there was just a completely unacceptable product. I mean, even just from like a fan perspective, like obviously it's not about the fans, but we do invest a lot of time into like the team and we
And
love
money.
watching the Boston, yep, and we love watching the Boston Celtics. Like think about people who have season tickets and are spending all that money to go watch the Celtics like almost on a nightly basis during their season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's tough because for us to like be so invested in the team the way that we are and have been through the ups and downs of this postseason so far with them, but we never lost faith in the team. Like, going down 3-2 to Philly, I was like, they were in the same situation last year. They went down 3-2 to Milwaukee and they came back and won the series. And, they consistently do have a good history against Philly as of late. They
Mm-hmm.
they've
Mm-hmm.
they've beaten them a lot both in the regular season and in the playoffs. So I was like, I can't count them out. Like they can win 2 in a row. Like they're capable of doing it. And so I think that the capable thing is what makes it worse for me
Yeah,
because capability wise and roster wise, they should be able to beat Miami. They have the
absolutely.
talent to be able to beat
Absolutely.
anybody. And just the way that they looked in game 7 against Philly, I was like, if they play like this consistently, nobody's
Mm-hmm.
beating them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is a team that, when they play at their best, can truly beat anybody in the league. And I really, really do believe that. And they've shown that multiple times this year. And they've shown that that's what they're capable of. So when you play like that, you're going to set the bar at
Yeah.
that for the fans. So then if you don't play that way, then people are like, well, like, why? What are you doing? So then they go into the first game against Miami, and we all thought they were going to carry that same momentum from game
Mm-hmm.
7 against Philly into that series, and they just don't. So then it's just like, well, what happened in that meantime? Like, was like, is it a mental thing or what's going on? Because I was hoping that game 7 against Philly really woke them up to, we're not just going to coast through this. Like, we have
Yeah.
to play our best basketball. And I did say going into the series that it'll be a harder series than people think. I think Miami has just been obviously tremendous in the playoffs. They have proven.
And y'all played them last year. Y'all played them last year in the conference finals, and they were a bucket away from actually beating y'all to get to the finals. So it kind of seems like this is sort of Jimmy Butler and the Heat's revenge against y'all. That's what it's feeling like right now. Never mind that they're the 8th seed and they've kind of, steamrolled through the number 1 seed and, the Knicks, in the last round, and now they're here against you guys. And I agree with you with the effort part. 14 points from your star in the game 3 and a must-win, knowing that you lost 2 at home. That's criminal to me. That's like that's a no-no for me. And then Jaylen Brown, who I thought has been the more consistent star in these playoffs, 12 points ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we look at the team, and what I also wanted to bring up was coaching. I think Spoelstra is maybe arguably the best coach in basketball right now. And I knew going into the series that he was going to have that team ready and prepared. And with the Celtics having a first-year head coach, I was like, he very easily could get out coached by somebody who's experienced and, is used to this type of playoff environment, has taken his team pretty deep in the playoffs. And so he's been there, done this before. And so from that standpoint alone, I was a little nervous about it. I was like, the Celtics can't play down to Miami because all season they've played down to their competition. They lost games they shouldn't have lost against teams that they easily should have been able to beat. But then they'll go and they smoked Milwaukee on Christmas Day this year, who obviously was another one of the best teams in basketball. Mm-hmm. So that to me is all mental. But I do agree with you. I mean, Jimmy Butler personally, when he was with the Bulls, experienced this same thing in 2017 where his team was up 2-0 against the Celtics, and then the Celtics came back and won 4 straight to win that series. And so he's been in situations already where he's lost to the Celtics in the postseason and been disappointed. And so I think for him personally, this series means a lot to him because, like you said, he's like, I don't want this to happen again, like what happened last year. And it's hard to, not respect Jimmy Buckets and the player that he is, because I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's a great leader for that team. And I think he really made sure before game 3 that team didn't take their foot off the gas, because he said, I've been in this situation before where I was up 2-0 against the Celtics and then they came back, like just because we're playing at home, like we
forgot about that team. That was the I think Rondo was on the Bulls. I think Wade was on the old Dwayne Wade was on the Bulls that year. That was
it was a good team, but it was
that was the year that Isaiah Thomas lost his sister in the accident, right? Yeah,
which was super sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a lot going into this series, or just because of last year. And Miami, to me, right now, is blatantly playing just like they want it more, and it's pretty obvious to me. And I think game 3 kind of sealed it for me when they showed up and they were like, it basically felt like they didn't show up. It felt like they weren't even really playing, and they were just going through the motions.
Got their soul ripped from them.
The Tatum and Brown thing, though, is incredibly disappointing to me, because you look at those two guys as your 2 leaders, like, in conversation for best duo in the NBA, and then they go and they disappear the way that they did in the postseason. And I do agree with you on Jaylen. For a lot of this playoffs, I was like, it seems like Jaylen's more ready for this moment than Tatum, and he's the one who's not afraid to take the big shots, and he's kind of making more of an impact. But now they both have been pretty radio silent in this series. Like, that's a really bad look for them if they want to be in the conversation among the elite players in the league.
Well, luckily enough, they're young. And more specifically, Tatum is young. I think I agree with everything y'all saying. I think for the most part, when I looked into the series, I thought that I had the Boston winning because I felt like the lights would have gotten too bright for the role players, not necessarily Jimmy Butler, but the Caleb Martins, the Vincents, those guys. But it seems like the role players of the Celtics are kind of freezing up. And I think, like you guys said, it's a matter of leadership. Their leaders, Tatum, Brown, and even
Al
Mazzulla,
Horford. I'd say Al Horford is a leader on that team too. From a leadership perspective, not from a production perspective.
Yeah, but that's right where I'm going. A production standpoint, we don't look to Al Horford. When we looking for points, we looking for our stars and for our coach to get us in a position and our stars to make it happen. And it seems like when you got a young coach and young players, the role players are kind of following suit, and when they freeze up, the whole team frees up. And I think that's what happened Game 3 specifically. And then when you look at Miami, Jimmy Butler ain't going to fold. Spoelstra ain't going to fold. And then the role players are kind of just following the lead of that team. And that's what I think is going on.
Yeah, it's definitely, there seems to be some sort of chemistry issue. And I think that's been an issue all season and was never addressed. And the other thing is that the Celtics have been inconsistent all year. They have so many games where they've played sloppy basketball with too many turnovers, and just getting in their own heads and kind of beating themselves. And that was something that they never really truly bit in the butt, and they just kind of kept going with the season and didn't really fix some of the problems that we saw early on. And I think that's coming back to bite them now, because the Heat are, just taking advantage of every single Celtics mistake. And they knew going into the series what those mistakes were. And I think they had the talent to be able to get away with it for a while. But now they're facing a team who's good at forcing turnovers. And for a team like the Celtics, who commit a lot of turnovers during the season anyway, that's just not a good situation for them, because that naturally you're going up against a team that forces a lot of turnovers, then your sloppy play is just going to be capitalized. Mm-hmm. So my whole issue was the fact that, and this kind of goes back to coaching, is that Joe Mazzulla doesn't seem to be capable in a lot of situations of making the adjustments that he needs to make. Like even in Game 2 of this series, they were doubling up Tatum for the entirety of the fourth quarter, and Mazzulla had opportunities to make adjustments and he didn't. And so I do, obviously, it's hard to fully criticize the guy because he's a first-year head coach, and I'm sure there's things that he still needs to learn. But at the same time, like, you're the head coach, like, you need to have the ability to rally and motivate your team. And I think there's a lack of motivation going on, and maybe even a lack of respect for him among the players.
You walked me right into it.
I think that could be part of, what's going on here too, is obviously Ime Udoka, fumbled the bag, and that situation was an absolute mess. But I think that the players seem to respect him a lot more, and he had the ability to, during pressure situations in playoff games, make decisions that he needed to make and make the adjustments that he needed to make with this team, which allowed them to have the success that they had last year.
Now, I wouldn't be a true podcaster if I didn't ask this question. Is there more to the Ime Udoka stuff is there more to it than what the media has and what the Celtics have kind of put out there that you know of?
Not directly. I do know that, we've just seen quite a few different scenarios from different people releasing information about, this is what happened. And I think certain media outlets tried to twist it a little bit into not exactly what was accurate. I do think most of what we've heard is what happened. And I think it was something that he didn't expect to get out, is what, to my understanding, what happened. And it was something that he thought was going to just be kept within, the small circle of people that were affected by it. And then when it did come out, there was like a big panic among the Celtics organization, because it's a bad look on them that they had somebody like that in the organization. And there was just a lot of, before it was released to the public, there was a lot of, to my understanding, just scattered info within the organization of them trying to figure out the best way to go about it, because I think they almost wanted to try to just shove it under the rug, maybe let the guy go, but without letting people in.
Because they should have just let him go. They should have just fired him.
Yeah.
That's what I said originally too.
Yeah.
When it came out, I think that the way that they handled it wasn't the best. I think they should have just fired him immediately at that time, and it would have been a much better look on the organization.
Absolutely.
Than it was. So I think but they as an organization seem to really want to try to figure out the best way to kind of make the situation seem not as severe as it was. And I think that's why it took a little while for it to get released to the public, because there were so many people internally that were freaking out, like, what are we as an organization going to do to try to fix this? And then once they realized there was no way that they could just like keep it from everybody, because what do? Fire the guy? And people are like, for what? You can't do that, really. So I think that they were scrambling to try to figure out, is there a way that we can handle this that doesn't give people insight into what actually happened? But then the media got a hold of too much information, and then obviously it was just a downward spiral from there. But I do think that, when it comes to the organization, obviously from a coaching standpoint, they felt like he was a good fit, which at the time it seemed like he was. And his,
he was getting in them guys' faces. Like, that's what I think the difference between him and Mazzulla is Mazzulla don't seem like he a dude. And I get Mazzulla's, I mean, God, I'm like 6 years older than Mazzulla at this point. I didn't realize he was that young. Like, I think Al Horford's older than him. But the difference is, he don't get in these dudes' faces. When you saw Ime on that sideline last year when them guys wasn't doing what they supposed to be doing, he was up in these dudes' faces like, yo, you ain't supposed to be doing that. Like, immediately at a timeout, dudes walking off the floor, he's already in your face. Mazzulla doesn't do that.
Mazzulla ain't built to do that. He's not built to do that. Let's be clear. This dude got whipped up by Jimmy Butler in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This dude ain't there. He's not built, Jimmy. And this is my problem with what happened with Ime Udoka. So you thought you was gonna just bring young Joe Mazzulla in here and expect him to coach a championship caliber team when he ain't never done it before?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing too that I worried about, was once the Ime situation happened and all of that just went down and everybody was like, this sucks, which it did. I was like, who are they going to bring in here to be able to help this team go past what they were last year, right? Which was obviously getting to the finals and coming up short against the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I was like, can they bring in a coach right now that is going to be able to lead them to a championship now? Because that obviously is the next step, and that's what their goal was for this year. And who can they bring in realistically to be able to get them, over that hump and finally get that championship that they've been looking for? And when they brought Mazzulla in originally, obviously he was an interim head coach when they brought him in originally, and I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like, we'll see how he does. The Celtics were off to a great start at the beginning of the season, so I think he gained some points on that because the team was just playing really, really well to start the season.
Yeah, and that's when they gave him the title of head coach, I think, at some point in the middle of the year.
They did.
After that.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the season, and then they just named him the permanent head coach as opposed to just interim. And I thought it was a little premature to do that, because I just thought it might have been too small of a sample size to really be able to judge what he as a coach can do. I think he almost got lucky in a way that the team was just playing as well as they were to start the season. I think that was more a reflection of the players that are on the team than him as a coach. And I think, as far as they've gotten now, I do think is more on the players and the season they put together more so than his coaching.
I'm gonna disagree. Players. I saw a Bleacher Report saying that a Bleacher report, I guess, saying that reporting that players are openly saying we have never gotten over how they have dealt with Ime Udoka and feel like that's resulted in our play. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Ime Udoka should not have been let go, fired, whatever. They should have kept it in-house. I hear that maybe it got out. I'm on the side of Stephen A. Smith that Boston personally put it out. I'm on the side of that. And I don't want to get messy because I don't see how you want to get messy about why I think they leaked it. So I won't go to conspiracy theory messiness. What I'll say is that I think that in lieu of what happened, they figured, ooh, let's just throw somebody in here who's gonna, quote unquote, meet, just kind of go through the motions essentially because we got a championship caliber team. It kind of reminds me of Brooklyn bringing in Steve Nash. Let's just bring in somebody who don't really know what they're doing, but we know he could just go through the motions as the season because we have a team that's good enough to win. But we forgot that coaches do have to eventually coach when it gets tight. And Joe Musa, and what I've seen throughout the year is that they'll start hot. Of course, they'll start hot. The players are playing for the team. They got us all hyped up. Boston, the Tatum, the team is playing good, of course. But then when they go through that funk, we don't know how to get them out that funk. Mazzulla ain't coaching them about that funk. Then they get to the playoffs, whatever. And I think it's a microcosm of lack of or inexperience of coaching because when it gets here, they don't know how to get out of it. They don't know how to get out of the funk. And here they are in the 0-3 funk. And like I said, I don't think they got a shot tonight.
And Maestro, that is crazy to say that because this team is in the conference finals like the Tatum era.
Right.
The Tatum era. And even when he was a young pup, first year conference finals going up against LeBron, right? And then he gets there 4 more times. He gets to the finals last year. So
right.
it's like regardless of the coach, like you should be knowing like, yo, it's the conference finals, yo. We got to turn up.
But here's the thing, Tatum's only 25.
That, though, like that's kind of what I was saying though before.
Okay.
Like I was saying like the way that the Celtics started the season and how good they were to start the season was more of a reflection on the players than something Mazzulla was doing well as a coach.
Okay, I thought you were saying that you were kind of putting the year's success to the players, and sure that in some respects that's true, but I think that the goal ultimately was championship or bust. And here we are talking.
It is.
Here we are talking about getting swept, and I can't put that on the players when Joe Mazzulla just clearly is outclassed right now.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make is that I think he got lucky at the beginning of the season because the team was performing really, really well to start the season, and when they started the season, they did look like a team for a lot of the season that could go back to the finals, and I think a lot of people would agree with that aspect that they were playing like a team that genuinely could go back to the finals if they played like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of a reflection of the talent he was working with when he came in. And it wasn't really something specific that he personally was doing well to make them play like that.
Yeah.
And I think now, like you just said, I think now he's kind of getting exposed because they're not playing well and he has no idea how to like motivate that team to kind of get them back to where they need to be. And I think that's been a problem. And I think he's lost a lot of respect from the players because of that. I think.
So
I think
I'm sorry, Maestro. So what are the chances if this goes real bad tonight? Like they lose, like as bad as they did in Game 3.
Get them out of there.
What are the chances? What are the chances that Mazzulla gets let go if this ends badly tonight?
Yeah, I think it's obviously hard to say because I do think in some way they might be like, well, it was his first season, we can give him some more time. But I think a lot of people want to just pull the plug on him if that is the case, which I definitely don't blame them. I think, when you look at some of these other coaches that are more experienced, if the Celtics are really in the mode now where they're looking to win a championship now with the talent that they have, they do need to get somebody in there who I think is a proven head coach who has been in this situation before and has shown that they can succeed in that situation. And it would be different if the Celtics were more of in a little bit of a rebuild where they're trying to make some roster moves and figure out who goes with who. But, there's a lot of decisions that have to come with this organization because Tatum and Brown are going to be due for big contracts. And the question is, do they want to pay those two? But that's obviously a different topic, but it does start with coaching. And I think, they have to really decide if they lose really badly tonight. I do think there's going to be a lot of changes. I think we're going to see a lot of people get moved in the offseason. I actually think Brad Stevens has done a good job in his role now with the moves that he's made. to kind of set the team up for success.
Yeah.
But then they obviously have to perform. And so I do think they will evaluate the coaching situation. If they truly think that they still have the talent now and they want to keep this core together to try to win a championship, I think they need to send him packing and get somebody else in there who is experienced and can really coach in these types of situations, because he's really proving that he can.
And Gabby,
especially right now, now.
Thank you, Maestro.
When the Suns let Monty go, Bucks let Budenholzer go. Like, they letting top tier coaches
Nick
go.
Nurse is out there still.
They're letting top tier coaches go because they feel like these teams feel like they got championship windows and coaches are letting them down, is what they're saying. So they are in the so Boston has to, at least for following trend reasons, let alone the availability that's on the pool, but at least for trend reasons, they gotta let this dude go. You can't let Monty Williams, Nick Nurse, and those types of folks get fired, and Joe Mazzulla get swept.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say trends. I would just say Monty Williams is available. Nick Nurse is available. Budenholzer is like you. I don't think I've ever seen an offseason like this where you've had this many good coaches. I mean, coaches that have won championships in recent memory that are available right now. I haven't seen that before.
And let's be clear. Jimmy Butler's still looking at Mazzulla crazy. Like, you the coach? You?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's so true.
8 points, 5 assists, and 6 turnovers against me in college? You?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing coaching this team in the postseason? I do agree with you, though. I do think, this is the time. And like you just said, Trey, like the coaching market right now is really, really hot.
Yeah.
And so if they really want to contend and they're serious about still being in that championship window, which I do feel like they are, they should probably get somebody in there who can get you there and has had proven success, as opposed to trying to gamble with Mazzulla and giving him the whole, he was a first-year coach, so let's give him more time, because you don't really have more time.
You don't have time.
Say, like, we'll give it another season and see how he does, when you don't know what's going to happen with this core, and you have some decisions to make coming up too with the players. So I do think that's the most important thing that everybody's going to be focusing on in the offseason with the Celtics, especially if they get swept, because I think even if they don't get swept, I think even if they manage to win tonight and the series goes back to Boston for game 5, I still think they need to seriously evaluate the coaching situation, because this is just bad.
Yeah. Listen. I got Knicks fans saying that they need to fire Tom Thibodeau, and we're not even in the same stratosphere as Boston as far as, a championship caliber team. I mean, the Knicks have had, in the last 2-3 seasons, we've kind of been relevant again, and Tom Thibodeau is the reason for that. Not to say that I'm, a huge fan of his, but I don't think the conversation about getting rid of him should be the conversation this offseason. Now, if the Knicks go and improve and then they, run into this wall again, next year, then you start to talk about changing the coach. So if Knicks fans are talking about getting rid of their coach, you best believe if you Boston and you a Celtics fan and you got Mazzulla on this staff and you got 4 other coaches out there. I mean, hell, Doc Rivers is out there. I mean,
that name is being thrown out a lot among Celtics Twitter, from what I'm seeing from fans who are saying, I'd love to have Doc Rivers here in Boston, because that could be, I think that, and people are like, well, he hasn't had a lot of postseason success lately, but I think with his just overall resume as a coach, I think he could take the talent that the Celtics have and make that into something, because they need to be with guys like Tatum and Brown, like, they need to be with a coach that they actually respect and they can rely on to actually coach and help them, guide them through these types of situations. And if they had Doc Rivers now, I truly don't believe they'd be getting swept right now or be down 3-0 by Miami. I think it would be a more competitive series. And I think I could totally see it, despite the fact that, Doc hasn't had recent success. It didn't work with him in Philly. We get all of that, but I do. Yeah, exactly. But I think those rosters, like even with the Clippers, like I think those rosters overall didn't have as much talent as the Celtics roster has now. So I think if you take somebody like him and put him in this situation with the Celtics, I think that they'd be able to find more success. Like I like a coach like that who is proven and has the experience.
So would you agree out of everybody that's available that Doc Rivers is the best choice for Boston if Mazzulla gets fired?
That's a hard choice because I do like Nick Nurse a lot. I think obviously, that whole situation was just tough for them. I mean, they won a championship, but then things kind of just spiraled downhill for that team.
They let Kawhi go. They did what they were supposed to do, bringing Kawhi in that 1 year, and then they went back to being mid.
Which is, exactly. They brought Kawhi in, they win a championship with him, and then they just go back to not being relevant and nobody cares about them anymore, type thing. But no, I do like Doc. I think he could fit in well with what the Celtics are trying to do right now, and I think he could take this roster and at least be somebody who can help motivate the team, because it's also really sad when you hear things like Al Horford stepped in when Mazzulla was who knows where and like basically coached the team for a segment.
Disgusting.
He owed it in him.
Disgusting.
like put motivation of some sort into this team, and it's just like that's sad when he's not even the coach, so he's not supposed to be doing that, but he's like that veteran presence that they need. And you did bring up a good point, Trey, about Horford, because obviously his productivity isn't there, which we all kind of know and didn't really expect him to have.
Yep.
But off the court, he is a huge presence with Boston right now, just because he's been around for a while and, he understands what it's like to be in this type of situation. And so having somebody like him with his veteran experience to offer to the younger guys, I think is huge for this team. And that's why I was happy that, they brought Al back here, just because I think having a presence like that is so important for this team. When a lot of your core is pretty young still. But I do think that, there's a good chance that they explore the coaching situation, and they'd be foolish not to with all these coaches.
You kind of have to. Yeah.
I say he gets fired, period. And Doc Rivers, hear me good. And I'm not a Boston fan. Let's be clear about it. I'm not a Boston fan at all.
None of us are.
But you are looking forward to a good round Game 7 exit. You're looking for a good Game 7 exit messing with Doc. Go ahead and get somebody like Monty. Go ahead and get somebody like Budenholzer. But don't waste it. Boston, hear me good, Boston fans. If you want a chip in the next 2 or 3 years, don't bring Doc over there. I'm just telling you, don't bring Doc over there.
Monty would be my first choice if it was up to me.
Monty would be my first choice.
He's a great coach.
Monty would be my first choice. Monty would be my first choice, for sure.
Could be that you want somebody like that, who shows that they have the ability at least to just motivate a team, because there's a huge lack of motivation with this team right now, and it seems like they're playing without any kind of purpose, and that's just really, really sad. And you need to have a coach in there who gives them that purpose to want to keep playing, and Mazzulla is just not doing that.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to say Celtics in 7? I'm not going to hear that from you? Because, you still, Come on now.
I can't. I just can't, because if they looked better, then I'd say maybe. Yeah. But the way that they looked in Game 3, they just have no heart and no motivation right now. So I can't.
Sad. That's sad.
Some quotes from Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown earlier today. Quote, "Don't let us win tonight."
Yep. I know. It's they'll say that. They'll talk like that, but then they'll come out and
look trash. Did you see them? Did you look them in their face the other night, Game 3? Like I wasn't even at the game, but if you look at their faces on the TV, they don't want to be here.
Yeah, Tatum just looked like he was like, all right, because they benched him in the 4th, right? So the start of the 4th, because they was down 30, and
they brought the bench players in.
They brought the bench players in, and like Reggie was talking about on the broadcast, he's like, okay, you want to rest your players, and I'm like, what? No, what you mean rest your players? They down 30 points. You better get them dudes back out there. Right.
The playoffs.
You better get them starters back out there. What you talking about?
Even just from a motivation standpoint, like say Tatum and Brown are out there in the fourth quarter and they start hitting some shots, at least you're giving them some sort of motivation that they can maybe carry into game 4. Like I might not have had a great game until the fourth quarter, but at least I was starting to make some shots in the fourth. And that's almost just like a, internal motivation type thing. Like, okay, like if I can play well and make shots in the fourth quarter, like maybe I can carry that into game 4. But it was the players very much seemed to just give up, and it almost was like he gave up on them by just starting the bench players in the fourth quarter.
I ain't gonna hold you, Jason Tatum. I saw the outfit he walked in with. He gave up before he got on the court.
That man was partying.
That white linen suit. I'm surprised ain't nothing leaked. I'm surprised nothing leaked.
That man. That man was about to do a music video in Miami.
That clearly let me know that he was not there.
That man, hey, Maestro, he was about to go chill with Rick Ross down there the way he was dressing up, bruh.
I'm trying
to tell you. It's really sad. It's honestly a sad situation to see, and like as a Celtics fan, it's just heartbreaking knowing how much talent the team has and how you feel like the whole season is just kind of being wasted because they just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
When you know that they have the ability to go
to win, absolutely. Yeah. We won't twist the knife no more. We won't twist the knife no more.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. What you talking about?
So we do eventually have to talk about the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, well, look, it's a little bright. It's the off season. It's a little more brighter for the Patriots, I think.
Yeah, they can't really make me angry as much during the off season as when they're on the football field.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good
talk
point.
to me.
Good point.
So talk to me about the Patriots off season. Devin McCourty retired, which is, I would imagine, a good piece for you guys. The draft notables for me is obviously drafting Christian Gonzalez in the first round, but more important to me is Isaiah Bolton from Jackson State getting drafted late in the 7th round. How do you feel about the draft and the offseason overall for the Patriots?
Yeah, I think Christian Gonzalez is a great pick. When he dropped to the Patriots, it would have been foolish of them not to take him. Huge talent. I was a little bit surprised overall that they decided to lean more on the defensive side overall in the draft. But at the same time, obviously this team still doesn't have a true wide receiver 1, and that's something that we've been waiting for a while. But I really don't think they were going to get that from this draft class. I mean, there were some wide receivers that got taken early, but I don't believe that any of those guys would have been that true wide receiver 1 that the team needs. And obviously they're in a really competitive division. Like that defense needs to be really, really good. Yeah. So it's hard for me to really criticize a lot of what the Patriots did. I mean, I also I have some issues with it. Like they traded up and drafted a freaking kicker. Like that's a little bit of a confusing situation for me. And I think Belichick, as we all know, hasn't been the best at drafting. That's one of his blatant weaknesses. I think a lot of the GM responsibilities that come with his job are not as much of a good fit for him. Obviously, fantastic coach, but not as great of a GM. And, you never know with the draft who's going to pan out and who's not to begin with. It really is a crapshoot when you draft in the first place because you don't know who's who's going to fit with your system and who's not. But I do like talent-wise a lot of the players that he drafted. I think he really felt like he didn't see a lot of offensive talent that could really make an impact on this team immediately that he needs. So he decided to lock down his defense, which I don't really have a problem with. But, I think this season is going to be a huge test for Mac Jones. I think getting a real offensive coordinator in there is going to help him because there was no reason at all that Matt Patricia should have been calling the offensive plays. And
hey, Gabby, that's the biggest offseason move in my book.
Yeah, I mean, because this guy has no idea how to run an offense, and you're having him call the offensive plays. Like, what is this? Like, the offense was an absolute mess last year. It was actually painful to watch as a fan.
Except for y'all cook Pittsburgh. I'm a Pittsburgh fan. So
that offense wasn't even that great, and even in that game,
they cooked us. Is what I'm because we were bad too, but they cooked us.
Yeah, but it just didn't make any sense, and I could see blatant frustration on Mac Jones's face because I think he felt like he wasn't in the position to be able to succeed because you have an offensive coordinator who's incompetent, running the offense. So that was my one issue. So I think bringing in Bill O'Brien is actually huge for this team. He's somebody who actually is
Old
an
face.
offensive minded guy and can kind of help run a more cohesive offense. I do think this is a huge year for Mac Jones because he's shown some glimpses of what he can do, but he still hasn't been able to fully convince people that he's the guy for the future. And I think they are trying now to put him in a better place to be able to succeed in this system. So I think this is a big year for him. If he doesn't show improvement from last year when they've been trying to, get him some more help, then I think they have to start asking some questions within the organization of whether they want to continue to invest in Mac Jones or not. And, I think I'm still a little bit concerned about the offense. I think the offensive line was a big problem last year. They still don't have a super solid receiving core. I think, those are two areas that I still think that might be an issue going into this season. But one thing that was big with the Patriots last year was there were certain things in games where they were just making really stupid mistakes that looked like they just lacked football IQ and had no idea what they were doing.
The Raiders
and I think
game.
some of those mistakes, that was just but that was such a Patriots thing to do last year because they found like such creative ways to lose so many games, and these were winnable games. Like there were a few games that I can look back on from last year that it's like if they didn't do something silly like that in the Raiders game, they could have won that game and been a playoff team. But it is telling that, they came close to the playoffs last year when they really didn't look that good in a lot of the games. And I think, obviously coaching's a part of that, but I think, the division has gotten better and they are in one of the best divisions in football right now. And I think, it's going to be really telling of where they're at when they do face those teams in the division. I do think their defense is going to be really good again, like it was last year, which is going to help them win games. But this is this biggest thing for me right now is there's a lot of pressure on Mac this year because I haven't bought into him fully yet. I think he's displayed some weaknesses, but I think I also was willing to give him a pass last year because he was not in a good offensive system. But I think now with a new offensive coordinator in there who's familiar with Mac and is an offensive guy, hopefully can kind of help turn the tide a little bit. But I don't know that they're really there with the rest of the division right now. I mean, this division's tough, and I think, I'm projecting like 9 wins for the Patriots.
9-8.
Sheesh, I think that's a lot.
9-8.
I realistically, looking at their schedule, think they could win 9 games. Okay. I think that might be enough to make the playoffs. Maybe not because of they're just in a really tough division, and I think the other teams in the division are going to win more.
So where do you think you're finishing at in the division?
Nothing above third, either third or fourth. And the only team that I'm looking at that might not be as good as the Patriots actually is Miami, because I'm still not sold on Tua. And I think that Miami, out of all the other teams in the division
that defense,
right now, is is the team that I'm looking at as could potentially finish below the Patriots. But realistically, I don't think that they finish any better than third. They probably end up finishing in fourth would be my realistic. Yes, I still think that they always beat the Jets twice, so maybe they still will. I'm not scared of the Jets per se. I don't think Aaron Rodgers doesn't scare me. And the Jets don't scare me. I think that they'll be a better team this year, but I don't think that getting Aaron Rodgers puts them so much more above everybody else. I think that they genuinely will be a playoff team this year, but I don't think that they're better than Buffalo still. And I think that they finish second in the division, and I think Buffalo wins it again.
I can understand you still kind of siding with Buffalo because I think like me and Maestro, we look at that team and we feel like they took some steps back. They've lost some players. The Jets have kind of upgraded, obviously Rodgers coming in, and then with the receivers that they got, McCole Hardman, which I don't think we discussed enough, Maestro. I thought that was a really good pickup.
Yeah.
On the Jets' part, but aside from getting his boys, Lazard and now Randall Cobb, which is going to be more of a leadership thing. Security blanket.
Fifth option.
Right.
He's that dude that's going to be there on third and 12 when nobody saw him coming. That's what Randall Cobb is going to be.
Yeah. Right. So 9 wins and you finish third or fourth in the division. I mean,
don't lie. Don't you dare lie.
Lie about what?
That's not going to cut it. In the AFC.
In the AFC? Good point.
Cut it.
Well, good point. I'm thinking more about who's on the schedule. I'm thinking about you got the Chiefs on there, you got the Chargers on that schedule. Y'all play that whole division, which I don't think is the greatest division. We'll see what Denver does with Sean Payton. And then I'm thinking about the NFC East. Y'all play the NFC East, right?
Yeah, which was a good division last year.
Right. So
they play the Eagles week 1. That's most likely a loss.
Ain't no most likely.
That is a
might not be. I mean, I do think that the Patriots are going to be a little better than people think. I think they're going to compete a little bit more with teams than people think. And I'm looking at the Eagles right now. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to have as good of a season as he had last year. I think that was a little bit of a Cinderella type of run for the Eagles. I think that they played above what they're capable of last year. So I'm putting them a little bit more in the mix with everybody else. I don't think they have this crazy run where they're undefeated for most of the season this year. I think they're a little bit more in the mix with the rest of their division. I even could say they might not even win the division this year. I think that they are a team that they're good. They're a good team, but I think what they did last year isn't going to be the normal for them. I think that they're going to kind of come back to reality this year.
So you're thinking what? You thinking Cowboys win that division? Is that what you're thinking?
It's hard for me to ever pick them just because it's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They're good, but the Giants are also good. That whole division besides Washington is good. So I genuinely think all 3 of those teams end up being close, and I think that division comes down to the wire towards the end of the season.
You said a lot about the Patriots, and specifically what is interesting to me is Mac Jones. Mac Jones, you're right, has a lot of pressure on him. And the problem that I'm having with this pressure being on him, and again, I'm not a Patriots fan nor a Mac Jones fan. I don't care nothing about him. Your number 1 receiver is Juju Smith-Schuster. That's
wide receiver 1.
Yeah, right. Like that's a problem. I mean, you get Mike Gesicki, and I like him. I liked him in Miami, but I don't like. I guess he got room to grow. I guess but you don't believe him. You got James Robinson from Jacksonville, and he was good when he was there, but. That's just a lot. That's just a lot. I can't say that. That's just a lot of pressure to put on Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think these are decent signings. Like I don't think it's bad that they signed these people. I think Gesicki is actually a pretty good signing for the Patriots, but they haven't done anything to me in the offseason where I've been like, wow, this is a game changer for the Patriots and this is going to make them really be able to contend. And I think, the Juju thing, I don't know, the guy's there's a lot with him off the field that I'm just I don't know how I feel about him really being here. I do think he is talent-wise good to have on the receiving core, but again, he's not a true wide receiver 1, and the Patriots just haven't had somebody like that in a while, and that's I think still going to be a problem for Mac Jones because it's still I think their running back room is solid still. They did have a good running back room last year, and I think that's going to be a strength of theirs again this year, but I am concerned still about the receiving core, and I'm looking at some of the other teams in the AFC, and offensively the Patriots are just still not where they're supposed to be. I think there's still a chance that maybe they trade for somebody to be a true wide receiver 1 before the season starts, but I'm definitely not bracing myself for anything because it is Belichick, and he does like to trust himself and roll with what he has and hope that it works. That's just how he is. So I'm not really
we got one more question. We know you got to go, so we got one more question. This is a fan favorite, so we gotta do the fan favorite before you get out of here. I need you to do 2 things for me. 1, Before I give you the question, I'm gonna need you to tell people where they can reach you on social media. Because when I ask the second question, if your answer isn't good, I want them to at you and not at me. So, first off, social media handles where you can be found in case your answer to the second question goes left.
No, so I'm on pretty much all forms of social media. Twitter, I'm at Gabby Hurlbut 10. Instagram at Gabby_Hurlbut 10. The Boston Balling podcast also has pages. It's at Boston_Balling_podcast on Instagram, and it's just at Boston Balling on Twitter. I am pretty active on Twitter, usually just freaking out about Boston sports teams making me angry all the time is pretty much what my Twitter profile consists of. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely check it out. But it's a lot of mental breakdowns in the middle of playoff games when teams are just not playing how they're supposed to be. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me.
Y'all heard her? At Gabby Hurlbut 10 on Twitter is where you'll get her response. My second question is top 5 Boston players, athletes of all time. Your favorite, your top 5, no order, top 5.
There's so many players that I can put in here, and I think there's some that I'm going to leave out that I would put in if it was a top 10.
At Gabby Hurlbut 10 on Twitter.
Top 5, you have to put Ted Williams in there. One of the best baseball players of all time, so it would be foolish to not include him. Tom Brady, because he's won all these championships with the Patriots.
That's
so
obvious.
And he's the GOAT, so you can't not put him in there.
No argument there.
Bobby Orr, I would say, is in there too. One of the best hockey players of all time, and is a Bruins legend. So I'm putting him in there. Paul Pierce, I have to say,
the truth
is in there too, because that'd be ridiculous not to put him in. And this is number 5 is where it gets really, really dicey, because there's quite a few players that would pop into my head that I could put here, but just considering everything from this person's career and what he means to the city of Boston, I have to put David Ortiz.
I'm about to say, I'm about to say, if you leave that man out, we gonna have some problems.
I was at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony last July, so it would be ridiculous for me not to include him. He's also my favorite Boston sports athlete of all time too, so I would never not include him.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions, Trey. Well, I know we got to hurry up.
And Gabby, again, we appreciate you hopping on with us. But I do have some names I do want to throw out there, and it's interesting that you mentioned some players that, just judging by your age and how old I think you are, I don't think you've seen Bobby Orr play in real time. I don't think you've seen Ted Williams play in real time. So I'm going to just throw some names out there. Manny Ramirez, for me, he killed my Yankees a few times in the playoffs. I would put him as sort of an honorable mention. And the other guy that I would put on there would be Larry Bird, even though you probably saw Larry maybe on the tail end of his career.
Larry was a name that I was thinking of, but I was like, if I'm only doing 5, I can't put everybody.
For you, not Larry.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
My honorable mentions are Bill Russell, rest in peace.
Rest in peace to the legend.
And Marvin Hagler, boxer Marvin Hagler. And and this is not real, Ben Coates, who played tight end for the Patriots in the 90s.
I like those. I like them. I like the answer. I think there's a lot of athletes in Boston who...
and Maya Moore in UConn.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
UConn girl, that's... I loved her. Watched her play in college, and she's just super fun. So there's definitely a lot of athletes I think that you can say have just made a huge impact on the Boston sports community. I mean, I'm a huge Manny Ramirez fan myself. I mean, everybody that played on the Red Sox during that time, that the Boston Red Sox in 2004 were just a really special team. Yeah. Like there was just a lot of players on that team.
Don't remind me.
That are legends. You're just never going to forget players like that. And it's just not, I feel like it's just not the same now. Like you look at baseball now and there's just not as many players in baseball now that are really, really like
Stars.
on that level in terms of like I'm gonna remember this player for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree.
No doubt.
I agree.
No doubt.
I
No
agree.
doubt. Gabby.
We appreciate you. We certainly appreciate you for coming on. Before we let you go, just plug anything you want to plug, and once again, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. This was definitely a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing stuff like this. You can find Boston Balling on any podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can subscribe to Boston Balling, and you can also find me and my podcast on Twitter and Instagram. I also have a Facebook page for Boston Balling where I drop live streams of the show when I do it. So you can check it out there as well. Or check it out on YouTube, wherever you feel like checking out your podcast, whatever you prefer.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Hey, Gabby, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate the time. And we'll see you out there in the social media world.
Yeah, we'll be in touch for sure. I really, really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
For sure. Be safe out here.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. Gabby Hurlbut, the Boston Ballin' Podcast. Follow her on Twitter at Gabby Hurlbut10. Also on Instagram as well. And like she said, the podcast itself has its own pages, and so you guys can check that out as well. At Boston Ballin' on Twitter.
Hey man, did you hear what JJ Redick said to Stephen A today?
You know what? I saw let me not say I saw the clip. I saw the headline, but I didn't listen to the audio yet about it. But is it something along the lines of you hadn't played
He Jalen Rose, Skip Bayless them is what he tried to do.
Okay.
And you know Stephen A way too, so he got about it that quick.
Right.
Got about it quick. But basically, they was talking about LeBron possibly retiring or whatever.
Yeah.
And basically, he told Stephen A, you don't understand athletic morality, and what you did at Winston-Salem don't count.
I gotta listen to that. But speaking of JJ Redick, so his name has been tossed around in some head coaching vacancies. Like I heard he interviewed for the Milwaukee Bucks job, and I thought that's pretty interesting. But
I think he should go coach.
I think so too.
I do.
I think he coaches his sons or daughters team or something like that.
I'm not gonna be disrespectful to the fact that he coaches his kids team, but I'm talking he should coach in the NBA. Give him a shot.
No, sure. I was just making a point, but yeah, I think I've heard that before someplace. But yeah, I agree with you. I think he should coach someplace in the NBA. I know people will maybe criticize the move, whoever makes the move to go get him, but I mean, he knows how to talk ball. I give him that. You know what I mean? I got no issues with it, but
give him a shot.
But the way JJ Redick been spicy lately on that platform, it's like he trying to force ESPN to let him go. The way he been talking.
I don't think he trying. I just think I don't know. I don't think he trying to force nothing, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like something about. I ain't trying to make this racy, but something.
I gotta look at that clip.
Something pulled me the wrong way when I seen him talking to Stephen A like that, bro. Like, don't talk to Stephen A like that.
I gotta look at that.
I don't like it, bro. I ain't gonna hold you.
Shout out.
I don't know if I like that.
Shout out to the Wise Soul in the YouTube live chat. They're all upgrades easily. He was talking about all the head coaches that are available. For Boston, if indeed they do crap the bed tonight, which I think they're gonna crap the bed tonight.
Now, since you brought that back up, I could tell Gabby ain't want to be messy, but now the messiness is still on my heart, so I feel the need. Here's what I feel about that Boston Celtics situation. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. They tried to play Ime, you know what I'm saying, whatever. They tried to play him, he knocking down slim girl, slim wife, whatever. We're gonna try to air him out, make him look bad, whatever. Mm-hmm. And they thought that they could just find anybody because the team is so good that they could just throw somebody in there and do that. All in spite, it goes back to that emotional shit that we was talking about when the Ime Udoka shit was going on. Mm-hmm. Business is business, and
Personal
Outside of
is
that,
personal.
It's personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, your girl got knocked down. Your wife got knocked down. Whoever the girl is and whoever the top of the exec dude, wife, who it was, belonged to, that happened. All right, it happened. But you're not going to sit here and play Ime on the business side like this dude wasn't the best coach for your team.
Yeah.
And because you did that, we looking at these dudes, we looking at these Celtics about to get smoked. And now the conversation that we had about Jason Tatum, being young and getting his chip early and setting his projection for one of the best players to ever play the game because he's so young and the team was going to be so intact for years to come. Now you're talking about the possibility, and to me, it really is this deep. You're talking about the possibility of a dynasty forming that you just fucked up because you want to put your personal situation and put it to your business situation. Let's be clear. You could have kept that whole scandal quiet. Ime could have kept his job, and there's no way that, in my opinion, that Ime is getting outcoached like this by Spoelstra.
Who's a great coach, by the way? Who's a great coach? Yeah,
absolutely. But I think with Ime and the roster that the Celtics have, I don't think they're beating Miami. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think
with Ime Udoka there.
With Ime Udoka, that's a 7-game series. It's a 7-game series, and Boston wins. And Boston wins.
Right. It's certainly not this. It's certainly not this. And I think that. Oh man, how
So I think I heard Stephen A say this the other day. With what's happening with the Boston Celtics before our eyes, it's justice.
Absolutely.
It's justice.
I tweeted it Game 3. Good for you.
It's justice for what they did to Ime Udoka. Did you see, and I retweeted this tweet, did you see what Nia Long tweeted after Game 2?
I remember it vaguely.
Yes.
Right. Because she the motherfucker that got cheated on, and she know this shit was wrong.
Right. Good
for you, Celtics.
I love the petty. I
didn't want to I could tell Shorty ain't want to get messy, so I ain't get. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I could dig it.
It's nasty behavior. It's nasty behavior. You can't let the personal get in the way of the business. And the business is everybody got jobs, and you had a championship caliber coach. We know because he was just there that you let go because your girl chose.
I'll reiterate. I'll reiterate that when this first happened, I saw it as, Ime Udoka, first year head coach, black head coach, took over for Brad Stevens, who was taking his team to conference finals back to back on one occasion, couldn't get it done. He goes up to the front office. They bring in Ime Udoka, first year off the rip.
On Brad Stevens, bruh.
Yeah, right. And he takes them to the finals. First year, black head coach takes him to the finals, and y'all trying to out this dude out to the public.
You thought you was gonna replace him with Joe Mazzulla when Jimmy Butler know he owned that nigga? You crazy?
See, I would have had more respect if they kept the interim tag on him, right? But the point that Gabby made about them looking so good early on in the season and them saying, "Ooh, we just gonna be able to run it back because we got the talent and anybody can, coach this team on autopilot. So let's give Mazzulla, let's lift the interim tag off of Mazzulla and make him the official head coach." And to me, that wasn't a business decision. That was an emotional,
personal
decision.
God, you took her.
That was an emotional decision to make because
Ime, we found our coach. We ain't need you, Ime.
Right, because we knew he wasn't getting suspended as they tried to portray it. We knew it wasn't a suspension. At some point, they had to try to figure out, damn, we kind of messed up, but how's this gonna look if we bring him back? Well, let's just make Mazzulla the head coach. And that'll solve everything. That'll solve Ime, cutting ties with Ime. That'll solve us as far as getting the head coach. We going back to the finals. Wop. Nah. Nah.
And here you are getting smoked when you got the better roster because your coach is trash. And I mean that respectfully, Joe Mazzulla, because it's his first year.
Right.
But he ain't ready. He ain't ready yet.
Yeah. I want to be respectful. I do. I'm with you, man. I do want to be respectful.
So I ain't gonna call him trash. This is his first year. Like that's a lot of pressure on an interim coach to come in with a championship roster and expect to be able to turn that around into a chip. That's a lot of pressure on him. So I ain't gonna call him trash. That's not fair. But let's be clear. You in a championship window. He got to go.
And to your point, and I was gonna slide in here.
Pause.
Thank you. Monty Williams. I'm sorry. You can't let these coaches just sit out here. I mean, how many openings is it right now? So we got 5 openings. We got 5 openings right now. We got Detroit. We know Detroit's bad. Phoenix, Milwaukee, Philly, and I'm missing that third one. The fifth one. I'm missing that one. But Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
Ain't none of these teams filled these rosters, these coaching positions out yet. And if you're Boston and you go out tonight, I think it's. I mean,
but how soon can you hire a coach after losing in the conference finals? You can do.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But me, Trey Frazier, I am giving Mazzulla his walking papers, and I am getting Monty Williams on the phone ASAP.
I'm tampering. I'm talking to him right now.
Yeah.
Because truth be told, y'all shouldn't be in an 0-3 hole.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Be in an 0-3 hole.
Exactly. I am on the phone with that dude right now.
And let me be clear. Tatum and Jaylen Brown should take some of the smoke. They should.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
But this seems like this team is unmotivated. And, of course, this team is unmotivated because they ain't got nobody to motivate them. Man, they got Jimmy Butler talking to them crazy.
Yeah.
And they holding it. And why is the quote unquote in-game rivalry between Williams and Jimmy Butler? Why are you the one talking crazy when Jason Tatum is a star and Jaylen Brown is a star?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Grant Williams,
that's his name.
I respect Grant Williams.
Yeah, no shade to him.
I respect him. And he was the only one doing something. Yeah. When after him and Butler was going head to head, they were, he was kind of trying to do what he could, and then everybody else, the rest of the team, it was just like, yo, what's up? what's good? Y'all blowing a 13-point lead in that game. So, I think it's gonna be bad tonight, bro. We're literally about to go 9 straight days without basketball until the finals start.
Hey man.
You know what that tells you, that the summer is coming. If it ain't here already, the summer's here, bro.
And it's all because said executive is mad because his girl chose. That's why. So we gotta go 9 days without basketball because you mad your girl chose this man. She made you doper.
Hey, congratulations to before I give the Nuggets their flowers, Carmelo Anthony, because I was going to talk about that.
But we in the middle of the playoffs. We can go back to Carmelo. Get Carmelo's flavors leg. Let's talk about the Lakers getting swept.
You want to? Okay, all right.
We can go back.
I love the narrative. I love the headline. Let's talk about the Lakers getting swept. Okay, yeah, that goes hand in hand with the Nuggets getting to the finals for the first time. Yeah, let's talk the Lakers side.
Let's be clear, man. Look, man. To the Lakers.
Yeah.
We're getting this far.
Yeah.
So let's be clear.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it coming. Let's be clear. I don't care how or why it happened. I know Memphis had some shit going on with them. I get it.
Well, at that point, I had their ceiling the second round. At that when it got to the playoffs, I said to myself, you know what, the Lakers can get to the second round, and I think that's it.
Memphis. You ain't have them beating Memphis until for game 1.
Yeah, before game 1 started, I predicted that the Lakers were going to win the series. Yeah.
You predicted that. I don't recall that, but I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. I
You
had
the Lakers beating Memphis.
I had Lakers
Okay.
in 6.
Okay.
I had
Okay.
Lakers in
Okay.
6. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had injuries. I mean,
That's true. That's true. They had injuries.
Yeah.
They had injuries. So, regardless of how you feel
Mm-hmm.
about they got past Memphis. Cool.
Yep.
Then they beat Golden State, and you can say what you want to say about how you feel about that series, but they got past Golden State.
Yeah.
So let's be clear: they beat the world champs. They beat the number 2 seed they were.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Right here is where hey man, Denver different, bro. Denver's different.
Well, it's bad. It's bad when your starting point guard can't play in the series or half the series. D'Angelo Russell looked lost in this series. They had to bench him.
And he wouldn't have changed it no way.
No, sure, he wouldn't have, but the fact that it's kind of like what Stephen A said about R.J. Barrett weeks ago. In the first 2 games against the Cavs, and he was like, "Oh, you might have to sit RJ for the series," and then RJ does what he does. But now we get to D'Angelo Russell, and it's like, damn, bro, like you had to sit for the series, like you had to sit halfway through the series because you was getting burnt, you was getting toasted, bro, and you wasn't putting up no production, and that's bad when they gotta get Dennis Schroeder to start over you. That's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad if you're D'Angelo Russell.
But,
and they traded for you. They traded for you, bro.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. And to the LeBron retirement conversation, look, man. You think he retiring?
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
No.
It's nothing. I get it. I saw it on First Take this morning. And it makes sense. He might be throwing that out there because he's saying, I don't have no help. I need more help.
And the dude that was in the stands last night was your boy Kyrie Irving, dapping up Alex Rodriguez. And I think that's interesting because I kind of believe that LeBron want to get Kyrie on his team. I kind of believe that.
I tell you what I saw today. I saw that the Lakers asked the Hawks, what would it take to get Trey Young?
I saw that too. I saw that. What do you think about that combination?
Get D'Angelo Russell the fuck out of here. Get Schroeder the fuck out of here. And whatever little draft pick, whatever little compensation they need, and you get Trey Young. And quite honestly, I say fit wise, not necessarily talent wise, fit wise, get Trey Young over Kyrie.
Get Trey Young over Kyrie. Interesting.
I think that Trey Young want to run more, and I think they need to run.
Yeah, good point. I mean, their pace wasn't the greatest, wasn't the fastest. I could see that being the case.
I'm not saying Kyrie can't run. I'm
Right.
just saying that I think Trey Young want to run. I think Trey Young wants to run.
Right. So speed over chemistry. Okay. I can't. I don't think I can
Do
be
you think
fully against
that
it.
You speed over chemistry. Are you? So you feel like chemistry is going to immediately gel because of just LeBron and just Kyrie?
When I say chemistry, I'm just talking about LeBron and Kyrie because they played together already and they won a championship already.
It's a whole nother team, and really, when
Sure.
I mean it's a whole nother team, it's because Anthony Davis is a factor that you're going to have to implement as far as chemistry.
And I'm glad you brought him up. I'm glad you brought him up because we can talk, trades for Trey Young, getting D'Angelo Russell out of here. We can talk all this stuff. Kyrie, on the sideline, thinking he's gonna play for the Lakers next year. At the end of the day, though, Anthony Davis had to be the best player on this team if they wanted to get to where they wanted to go.
Well, he was at points.
At points he was,
Yeah.
but that with that comes consistency.
Yeah.
So yes, you could put up the 28 and 12 and whatever, and he had a monster 30-point, 20 rebound game in one of these series. But the consistency just wasn't there. I mean, he would back that performance up with a 17-point game or
this is all I can remember this doing. I feel like he did this all playoffs.
Yeah.
I feel like he did this all playoffs.
The consistency, It's crazy, you know. And then if the guy's gonna stay healthy or not, too. Like that's always been a question mark with Anthony Davis. So,
but here's the thing. I mean, you still got to treat him like he's the number one option
you have to.
because he's him.
Yep, you have to.
So I mean, I don't know, like because you can't say get rid of Anthony Davis. You can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he's on, he's fucking on.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you kind of gotta roll with the idea that you want to get somebody who can play with Anthony Davis. And again, I'm not saying that Kyrie can't play with Anthony Davis. I'm just looking at what I've seen from Trey Young and what I've seen from Kyrie, and I think he would be better running with Trey Young.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna think about that a little bit deeper.
And we know that boy pulling up from anywhere. And again, that's not to say that Kyrie ain't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying fit wise, I think Trey Young would be a better fit, and I would give up everybody outside of Austin and really, if it's Trey Young, I'm getting rid of Austin Reeves too. But you know what I'm saying. But I'm trying to keep him.
Okay, I was about to say.
I'm trying to keep him. Yeah.
He wouldn't be the first one on that list.
No. It's D'Angelo Russell.
Yes.
It's not definitely Schroeder, because Schroeder's been okay.
You need a backup. You need a backup point guard.
I think you can find a backup point guard, and I think you can find him.
Okay.
If you get Trey Young, I think you can find a backup point guard.
If you can find him, yes. If you can find him, yes. Otherwise, if you got to keep Schroeder, I'm fine. I'm not
with
even mad
Schroeder.
At you. But D'Angelo got to go.
D'Angelo has definitely got to go. He got to go.
So I don't know if you've seen this. Speaking of D'Angelo Russell, so there was a couple times throughout these playoffs where he do his press conference and he's trying to promote this juice. It's some kind of Gatorade product or whatever.
This nigga promoting juice at the conference?
At the conference, right? So this dude's got the juice there, right? And he's about to come up. He puts the juice on the table, and then homegirl, I guess she's like PR or marketing or whatever, she immediately comes over and she grabs the thing and takes it off the table. And D'Angelo's looking at her like,
right,
like, yo, like, what you
get
doing?
Get that shit out of here.
What you doing?
Get that shit out of here.
And I'm like, bruh, and I get it. Look,
I'm with her.
The whole lot. No, I'm with her too.
Yeah.
But the fact that her taking the juice off the table got eyeballs, it's still a form of marketing, which is why I guess he kept doing it, because hey, they're going to see it one way or another, whether it's up there for the whole press conference or it's up there for a few seconds.
If I'm a little kid, I ain't never drinking that Gatorade if I just seen D'Angelo Russell's game this series. I ain't never drinking it. So I'm with the PR lady.
Yeah, I'm with her too.
I'm with the PR lady.
A deeper detail in that too is that particular drink is not sponsored by the NBA, which is why she grabbed it off the table.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah.
Okay.
So he was trying to do his little, marketing stuff going on here. But so speaking of Golden State, before we get to Denver for a second, it's crazy how the two teams in the finals last year had those two separate incidents in the offseason that you could really say derailed their seasons.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. It's wild stuff.
Wild. It's wild. Heavy is the head.
Mm-hmm. The Nuggets. Congratulations to the Nuggets getting to the finals. The Joker.
I don't even know if I like Joel Embiid no more, bro. I think I'm.
Oh, snap.
I don't even know if I like that nigga no more. I've been watching Joker this, specifically this series, this particular series more than maybe I've watched his career.
Did you get the sense he was more aggressive in the series? Like, I watched a couple plays last night, and it was late in the fourth where he got the ball and LeBron was all over him, and the dude was like, "Yo, one way or another," and it was a close game. It was a close. Score.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, one way or another, I am getting this basket. And that dude muscled to the rim to get that basket off through LeBron and all that.
He's slow as hell, but for some reason it works. And and from a slow person to another, man, I'm starting to like this dude. Man, and
Yeah.
the more I like him, the less I'm starting to like Embiid. I just got to be honest with you, man.
I wish the rest of the world would though.
It's fair. Look, the I ain't gonna say it's fair, but I don't. Here's the thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's legit he is a big man, no homo. Like,
Pause.
I said no homo, nigga.
Come on, man. We in this different climate now, man.
It's the dude.
Pause.
He's literally like what Joel Embiid is trying to be, game wise.
Mm-hmm.
Joker is that.
Yeah, and more, and more.
He's,
really.
I mean, like, I think I don't know what it is, and it could be coaching, it could be the process, whatever the hell it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Joker is that, like, the quintessential center.
He's a point center. He's a point center.
The center that when Steph Curry came into the league and he started shooting threes, and all of a sudden center started shooting threes. Joker is that center that all other centers were trying to become, including Joel Embiid. He shoots it from the three, he passes, he handles the ball, and then he's still strong in the paint.
Yeah.
He's still strong. Like, he's that center that everybody has been trying to be since Steph Curry started shooting from the logo.
Except Embiid is not great of a passer the way the Joker is.
He's a good passer. I'm not going to shit on him. He's a good passer. Joel Embiid is a good passer. He's not the Joker. He's a good passer, though. He's not the Joker. Joker different.
Okay.
Joker different. I look. I'm almost like, you know what? Take that MVP trophy from Joel and give it the Joker.
Nah, you know what? Nah, he could keep it.
The only reason
Joel could keep it.
The only reason I'm not going to take, only reason I'm gonna let Embiid keep it is because he should have got it the year before when Joker got it. So it's kind of like it evens out.
Yeah.
But man, I'm trying to tell you.
Do you think? Let me ask you. I'm gonna get your opinion on this. So the conversation mid-season toward the end, it was Embiid, it was Joker, who's the MVP, and then you had people like Kendrick Perkins coming on TV talking about, it's a race thing, which is possible, which it could have been. It could have very well been a race issue, but nonetheless, Kendrick Perkins brought it up on national TV.
Yep.
Do you think that Joker at that point was the MVP, and then what he said and what others have followed and said behind what Perkins said kind of swayed the public to
maybe? I'll say maybe.
Embiid?
I say maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I'm only going to say maybe is because I wasn't watching no basketball around that time. So
be better,
so
bro.
So I'll say maybe. I'll just say maybe.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching that. I was locked in with NFL. So
Yeah.
So I'll say maybe to answer that question.
A few people I'm happy for on this roster. Obviously the Joker, but Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, I'm happy for that guy. We had the injury right after the bubble, missed a couple years, came back this year, and balled in his playoffs. Particularly in the series. I didn't know he averaged 32 in the series.
Yeah.
He was going in. Well, I guess that's why they had to bench D'Angelo Russell, but yeah, he balled out, man. He deserves the love, man. And the other guys, Bruce Brown, sixth man off the bench. I thought he played his role real perfect, man. He had a few big plays in this series with a few dunks that kind of swayed, the trajectory of the game and stuff. Shout out to him. Jeff Green. And does Jeff Green have a ring?
I want to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, because I'm thinking about his time with LeBron in Cleveland, but
Exactly.
I don't know if he was. I don't know if he was
yeah.
on that 16 team, but he
I
was.
don't know for sure.
But he was definitely on those teams after that. That I do remember that. I just don't remember if he got the ring or not. In the case that he doesn't have a ring, I would love to see Jeff Green, who's been in this league a long ass time. Had a heart procedure at one point and thought maybe he wasn't going to play again, but, look at God, and here he is on the precipice of, getting a title. So,
from Maryland.
Yep. Shout out to the kid, man. I'm rooting for him to get his ring, his first ring, if it is his first. I'm rooting for him to do that. So, obviously Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. So did you see this clip earlier? So apparently when Aaron Gordon was with the Magic and they played the Raptors in the bubble, him and Kyle Lowry had a little back and forth, whatever. And Kyle Lowry was like, yo, I'm in room so and so was good, whatever. Like basically saying, yo, if you try to fight, meet me up in my room, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I guess the whole point of the clip is that they're trying to find some kind of spiciness to the finals.
Of course they would.
Nuggets and Heat, which, it wasn't the desired matchup by the public.
According to the script.
Right, exactly, according to the script. But I don't care. I'm just a fan. Whatever the outcome was going to be of these two series, I was watching regardless. I mean, this is Nuggets and Heat. This is going to be some great basketball, in my opinion.
I agree.
So I don't care what anybody else got to say. Screw your Lakers, Celtics, nostalgia. Screw all that.
And screw the Celtics as the staff, organization, and as a motherfucking crew. And if you want to be down with the Celtics, then fuck you too. I'm just kidding. Shout out Gabby.
Shots fired.
I'm just kidding. For serious.
Oh man.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man, I'm Denver, Miami is gonna be good basketball. I don't go to the finals games, so I don't feel the nostalgia of Miami or the vibe of Miami.
Oh,
And,
I get so tired of that.
Yeah, I do get tired of that. But I ain't never been to Miami, so I don't know. Maybe it's really like that when you got bread. I don't know.
I've been to Fort Lauderdale, which is not far from Miami. But yes, I understand. It's a beautiful place. Weather's warm year round. I get all that. I am so tired of Stephen A. mentioning, we get to go to Miami, get to go to L.A. Like, bro, you Stephen A. Smith, bro. Like, you could go to Miami anytime you damn want to, bro.
Yeah,
like,
but when you can work and do it, that's different.
Okay. Okay.
Now, and again, you Stephen A. Smith, you ever seen this nigga outside, like seen him outside, pictures of him outside? Mm-hmm. You could tell this nigga be in his little bag, like he
do.
He's spending money, he doing rich nigga shit, like you know what I'm saying. So I mean, work
can be in Miami versus just being in Miami.
Yeah, but it's different because to go to Miami whenever you want, and let's be clear, Stephen A. don't really take off. Let's be clear about
it. I know.
He don't really take off, so it's not like, I could just go to Miami when I want. He's normally working 15 hours a day on ESPN. Let's be clear about that.
He could go to LA. Well, ESPN is in LA, so yeah, he's there a lot more than he is in Miami.
But he's at the New York. I thought he was in New York. Ain't he in the New York campus?
For the most part, yes. Yeah, but when like they doing countdown and stuff,
but
so
they send him to
they
work.
in LA, right?
But again, so sending him to work,
right?
So
right.
when work is over at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock maybe for him. Mm-hmm. You could tell he go out and go play.
That's cool. I'm just saying, yo, you Stephen A. Smith, bruh. If you wanted to, bruh, you could do first take from Miami for a week if you wanted to.
You keep saying that. I don't think he can.
In January, you could.
I don't think he can, Trey. You keep saying that, and I don't think he can. I don't think he can. His job. I think his job says, stay your ass in New York until we send you to LA to do whatever, and then we send your ass back to New York, and then
he going to Denver. He going to Denver, and I don't want to hear no bad. I don't want to hear no trash talk about the city. Not that I've ever been to Denver before, but I don't want to hear no trash talk. Like, let's just get to the ball game. Let's just talk about the series and all this stuff. Like, I'm tweeting last night, and I'm looking for footage of, the streets of Denver. I'm looking for footage. I'm looking for fans and stuff celebrating and stuff. I can't find nothing. Nothing, bro.
Them niggas is high, bro.
I can't find nothing, yo.
Them niggas is high out there, man. Yeah, but
Yeah.
shout out to Denver, shout out to Miami. I definitely got the what you got? I think I got the Nuggets in 7.
Give me Nuggets in 6.
Nuggets in 6.
Give me Nuggets in 6. And yes, I know folks, it's premature, but come on. The Heat are winning the Heat are winning the Eastern Conference. Let's just
let's just stop
call it what it is. It's crazy cuz so I don't watch this show anymore because of what Skip's been messy and stuff, but I just happened to see a clip, which I didn't open, but I just happened to see a clip of Shannon and Skip previewing Nuggets Heat earlier today, without obviously the Eastern Conference series not being wrapped up yet. So
yeah,
if them guys can do it, then
everybody's doing it. It's not just
so we can do it. We know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Denver versus Miami. That's what it is, man. And speaking of Denver, which was Carmelo's first stomping grounds in the NBA, I just want to circle back and
hey, do I need to let you and Melo be alone while you
pause. So I want to take a few things away from his career. Obviously, as a freshman, doing what he did at Syracuse, winning a national championship, that was big time, right? The scorer that he is, I think he was averaging a good 24, 25 points a game for his career. At one point, kind of going back to the Nuggets days. I respect Melo so much because as a Knicks fan and as a guy that watched the team kind of suffer for a few years in the 2000s, Melo wanted to come to New York. He was the only star that was like, yo, you got to get me to New York. So I'll always respect him for choosing my team. Now, I've always criticized how the Knicks got him in terms of the trade, the compensation, kind of breaking up that team and all that, and it didn't work out in the end. Because we had that one playoff year where we got beat by Indiana in the second round, and then after that, it just all kind of fell apart. Phil Jackson came in, messed it up, and kind of put a divide between Melo and himself and the team, and that was sort of the last we saw of Melo, in New York, and so I'll always appreciate him for choosing my team and bringing it back to relevance for those, 3 years, I think it was. Right after Amari got there, and Amari, was kind of tearing it up those first few games before the trade happened. And so props to the homie, man. Best of luck in, whatever you do. I mean, his son is, balling right now. I would expect to, see a lot more of him in these highlights and, wherever he plays his college ball at. And hopefully that means, he's going to be drafted in the NBA one day. And so, you have that. Props to the homie Melo, man. Baltimore's finest.
Congrats.
Baltimore's finest.
To Carmelo Anthony. Congrats to him for sure. Last thing I got, man. Shout out to Devin Haney who beat Lomachenko Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: Devin Haney won in 12. A lot of people are saying that Devin Haney should not have won. I watched the fight,
Mm-hmm.
and I look. I'll say this: Devin Haney was the champ,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't beat, if it's not decisive, decisive, and a lot of people would say it was decisive, but I could see, in short, Devin Haney got the I'm the champ score on the cards.
Right.
What it seems to me, because it was a little too. Even if you had Devin Haney winning,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit too much of a gap in between scores. As far as one was, I don't remember the exact scores, but it was too much of a gap. Like
I saw 116 to 112. I saw that.
Right. It should have been. Every scorecard should have been close. Even if you had Haney winning, everything should have been close. And for the fact it wasn't, lets me know that Devin Haney might have got a little bit of champ slide. You know what I'm saying, that type of thing. But I'll say this: he ain't ready for Tank Davis. Get that out your head, and let's be clear.
He called for that. He called for that.
I mean, people want it.
Okay.
People.
Okay.
I mean, people want it.
Nah, I just wanted some clarity on that.
I think he even put out a statement saying that it's going to eventually happen and maybe sooner than later. I saw that.
Okay.
I saw a quote saying something like that. But not only is he, in my opinion, not ready for Tank Davis, but he might not be ready for Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson saw him in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Let him know. Let him know. And all Devin Haney had to say was, I'm number one. And Shakur Stevenson said, not for long. And I ain't going to hold you. Shakur Stevenson is a dog. And based on what I've seen from Devin Haney and Lomachenko, I don't know if he won that dog. Because this is what I'll say about Lomachenko. I think what Devin Haney saw from Lomachenko is, he saw from Lomachenko a nigga that legit has been in war for the past year and a half, maybe 2 years. And I'm not talking about like, I'm talking about war. This nigga was in Ukraine in war.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't on the front line, but he was that Bama fought David Haney. Like he just got it was a war. Like he was throwing he Jai in some respects threw boxing out the window and was like, I am fighting right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think Devin Haney expected that. And I think that's why this guy as close as it did. And Lomachenko's a good boxer too, by the way. So let me not throw that escape. He's a good boxer.
Yeah.
All that to say is I think Devin Haney might be in trouble. Devin Haney might be in trouble. He better fight Shakur Stevenson ASAP, in my opinion, ASAP. And he need to show out. I don't mean just win. He need to show out against Shakur Stevenson if I'm to believe he that dude.
Yeah, when we had Alex on, shout out to RBR Boxing, we had him on last month, and he talked about how good Lomachenko was. I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter as far as the results of the fight were concerned. Like you said, it was a close fight.
Everybody's saying Loma got robbed.
Yes,
that's what everybody's saying.
I saw that. I saw at best it should have been a draw based on what they saw, and I didn't see the fight. Nor was I even looking for the fight. I was tied up with some stuff on a personal level, but I did see a lot of people say that he did get screwed out of that fight. But I would love to see Haney and Tank go at it.
Nah, I don't want to see that yet.
You don't want to see that yet?
No, you beat Shakur Stevenson, then we could talk about Tank. Beat Shakur Stevenson.
All right. Well, I respect that. Yeah. I respect that. You got to get through somebody before you get to him. But just the thought and the idea of those two, it looks promising. Yeah. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Shout out to everybody in the chats. Appreciate y'all coming through. Shout out to Gabby for coming through with the Celtics talk, and yeah, them C's is going down tonight.
Sorry.
It's going down. I'm sorry. Props to everybody that's watching us on YouTube as well, and all of our other platforms on our Twitter handle at Barbershop SPOR2. Also on the Facebook page. If you know somebody that knows somebody, make sure you let them know. Put them on game. Click the like button.
Share.
Same thing with the YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button, please. Also, if you got questions or you just want to, comment on some stuff about the show, the email is barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com, and drop us a review on any of your social streaming podcast platforms, whether it's Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor. Let us know what you think about the show. Drop us a review. That'll all be good with us. And man, it's another good week in the books. But I could already tell, Maestro, that it's that time of year where it's gonna be them dog days of the summer, bro.
Hey man, One thing about sports is that they'll always find a way to give us something to talk about.
Of course. And these guests. Shout out to our guests too, because it's good. It's great conversations. Certainly, we'll be having future guests on here to kind of help the sports talk a little bit throughout the summer and stuff. And so
I ain't got no problem talking shit, bro.
Oh, I know. But I truly appreciate the guest spots that the folks come on.
Sure.
I appreciate. Me and you when we do these things solo. I mean, it's always a vibe too. But to get the guests on and to kind of have interesting conversations and get their background and stuff. It's pretty cool. So again, man, appreciate you, man, once again. Looking forward to doing this next week. Y'all have a safe week out there. Peace, love, happiness, and remember, folks, mind your damn business.
And drink some water.
Recording stopped.